Excuse me. YouTube says we're live, so welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom number 273. I'm your host, Greg Gow. The gang's all here with Tony and Courtney and Luff and Wayne and Don and John and Jim and Mike and Garth and Dewan and, hey, Dennis and other people. Let's talk slot cars. Does anybody have anything they want to show or tell about? Now's the time to raise your hand or wave your real hands in front of your camera a bunch so that I call on you.
I'll go first. So I've had this for a while. First of all, I'd like to, Dennis, it is so good to see you. We've missed you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
You're not
for
the
me,
first. You're not the first to tell him.
Generally, I now work at Electric Dreams on a Wednesday. It just made more sense for me to go there on a Wednesday than a Thursday because of the racing at Pirano on a Thursday. But my car's in for service and they didn't finish it yesterday, so I am transportless today and therefore I'm at home. So hi guys, it's good to see you all.
Works out good for us.
Glad you're here. Yep.
So I've had this for a few weeks now, messing with it. This is my hypercar, and of course I've got one of Yona's pods in it. And of course, I have an 050 motor in it. And of course, the regulation is 10 mil wide rears. I still can't get it to hook up, but Yona's pod is awesome. I think I ran a couple different size drill bits through the bearing holes, and I put the bearings in. It was aligned perfectly. It spins great. And of course, I like to use one of Garth's guide flags that he custom made for me. And then, of course, it's got the custom Benetton logo. So I'm still experimenting with the pod. Right now, I've got just the rear two screws with foam, Wayne. I took the side screws out. I've messed around with that. I've got something else I'm working on. Don't remember what it is. I went to bed last night frustrated with it. So anyhow, that's what I've got. Oh, wait, I got one more. I told you I bought that advanced slots 296. So I've got it mostly painted. I don't have it put together. I put the Predator motor in it, 25K. It's on springs in the back, foam up front, but it has, the pod sits in the chassis in a little divot, so there's no side to side. So I think I'm going to have to pull it apart and grind those down, or just get a new chassis with a slotted pod. So, or use a Garth pod in there. So that's all. I got to get the hypercar done first.
These are proxy cars, right?
Proxy, yeah, that's right. Proxy cars.
What kind of tires do you normally pick for those?
Well, GT3 is, ultra grip or super grip. The hypercar now, we're not allowed to use pre-Evo NSR tires. So you've got to use an Evo NSR tire or any other rubber tire. So right now I've got.
It specifically disallows pre-Evo NSR rubber.
Right, because there's groups of us that have big stashes of pre-Evo rubber for proxy racing. And
but otherwise it's open.
Otherwise it's open.
Wow.
And now the door's been closed on that rubber that you've stashed.
Well, for that proxy.
Say it again.
And now the door has been closed on that rubber that you stashed for the purpose.
Yep.
No, not for GT3.
Oh, okay.
Not for GT3 and not for most anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Just that one.
Yeah, GT3 is the money. They've narrowed the tire on that too to 11 mil. So no more of the Vanquish style tires, I guess, or F1.
Hey, Courtney, I thought your 296 was going to be a scale auto. I thought you said it was scale auto.
No, it's advanced lot. So,
It's actually a pretty
you know,
nice little car. I have one, and they run pretty well.
yeah, but it doesn't run GT3 well yet for me.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, I thought they
Um,
ran well for what they are. Yeah.
Yeah,
What are
but
they?
again, I'm
An Avance slot rather than an NSR or a
Yeah.
Scale Auto.
But I mean, what price bracket are they at? Are they at home set price range, or are they intended to be high end cars?
I think they're intended to be high end, but I don't know that they've quite got to that yet.
Technically,
Yeah, I think maybe, they may be close to the Racer Sideways um, GT3 cars, but I don't know that they're quite at the level of a Yona DT3 or a really worked over Scale Auto or NSR. Anyway,
yeah.
Courtney, how do they check the tire?
Well, it's an honor system, so
Okay.
I don't know why they trust me with that, but I'm going to do my best to be honorable.
Since we're talking about
Before-
tires, before I take the topic away from you, are you good to go, Courtney? Or you got some more?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so since we're talking about tires already, I'll bring up we just switched to slotted classic DTMs for our series in IMSA, and the spec is the stock tires, which are C1 tires, which hook up just fine on sport. They're not, nothing to write home about, but they're good. They're good enough. You get, they jump off the line and they slide a little bit in the turns, but not too much. But some of the guys are used to what we've been doing with NSR tires and stuff like that. So they're trying to get more out of those tires. Does anybody have any tricks for getting more out of a C1 compound tire?
Yes. Oil the crap out of them.
Oil the crap out of them.
Put them on, if you've got, on a machine where you can run them together.
Yeah.
And just oil the crap out of them.
So they don't degrade.
No, it could take a couple of weeks to do it. Way back when we were doing that and using that tire, I would oil that for like half an hour, and then do it like for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Anybody else? That's the only thing I've heard so far that we haven't already tried. I mean, we've oiled they've oiled them. They've tried Scale Auto Cleaner that's got whatever in it. They've tried lighter fluid. They've tried just, none of them get them any better than just keeping them clean with, sticky tape or whatever. So oil will give them more softness, more suppleness, more grip, basically.
Yeah, but I can't emphasize a lot.
A lot, yeah. It just needs a lot.
But not a lot of oil, but a lot of applications in. Yeah.
Long-term oil treatment.
Yes. Yep.
Good to know. We'll give that a try. I'll tell the guys.
Or
Don't
not.
tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell
I'm
him.
not going to put that much time and effort into it, but at least one of the guys is probably prepared to do it every single night of the week, just to get a little bit more grip. Because
you could probably put them. You could probably put them on an air rim, and put a foam insert inside them.
Yeah.
Or maybe even
I've-
not. It strikes me as that rubber carcass is actually quite stiff.
Yeah, so it may work without the foam insert, but certainly I've done some on the what were they? They're sideways Group 5 cars that also have that same compound, and it makes a fair difference between that and stock.
Yeah, if you can change the wheels, put them on a 5018 NSR wheel.
Yeah.
We can't change the wheels. Basically, it's pretty much like most of our classes, bone stock. This one is even more stock because it's stock tires too.
Can you modify the wheel?
Our rules say if it's not mentioned in the spec as allowed, it's not allowed.
Okay.
So no. Yeah.
I was going to say cut an air channel in the stock wheels, but I'm not sure where I heard that from.
No,
I've
never
done
heard
that
before.
I've done that often. You've got to be very careful though, because you can't get a very deep
Yeah, you can't get
air
much.
channel. It's like 0.5 millimeter is about as far as you can go, because otherwise you run into the undercut that's on the other side of the wheel, on the inside.
Yeah, just cut the whole thing off and then put a strip of foam in it. That's what I did.
Sounds like Dennis has never done it, and I've never done it either.
Yeah, definitely
That's
not.
experience. That's
not anything
experience
allowed.
speaking.
Yeah, not allowed. Not gonna do it. Not gonna mention it. But the oil
Okay.
thing definitely worth mentioning. So I'll
Yeah.
let them know.
So did you try all 6 screws in your motor pod then, Courtney?
I have not tried all 6 screws. No. No,
Uh-huh.
I am on, I don't even know what it doesn't matter what I do. The car is a 6.2 car.
Yeah.
Is it side bite or forward bite?
I need forward bite. It's too back endy.
Yeah, that
That's a
whole thing
technical
of
term.
the 12.5-degree angle has not been. Personally, I don't think it's been a good idea.
It's sure working for us.
It is.
Yeah, with every track in Northern California that those cars are allowed on, it now holds the track record.
It does on mine too.
With what motors and what tires, Jim?
We're running stock motors. Tires depend on the track.
Huh.
But typically G25s on most of the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I'm
Jim's is
running
specific.
G25s. Go ahead.
Jim's is a completely non-traction, magnetic traction environment, while Mike's has got that in the mix.
True.
Yeah, I had an oxygen race on Monday and I broke 7 seconds for I think only the second time with my Cadillac, scale auto Cadillac.
That
And
motor has
stock-
a lot of downforce, doesn't it?
I don't think you heard that.
Does that motor have a lot of downforce? I'm guessing it does.
13 grams.
That's
Yeah, that's
normal.
not a heck of a lot.
not very much.
Well, it's not nothing.
That's not nothing, no, but it's not as much as we can get from Ninco rails.
Yeah.
13 grams on a magnet Marshall isn't going to be 13 grams on skill extra track though.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
unknown thing, isn't
it
it?
works. The rest of the stuff, I'll talk about it later, but it was sort of a debacle in the second race with one of the things that happened is that the scale auto cars are so fast that 2 things happened. First off, I started running into the switch arms on the lane changers. A couple times that happened because the cars are just so quick that with that shallow lane changer of scale X-Rick, it bangs into them.
Do you have your lane
periodically.
changers on? Do you have your lane changers on dedicated power, or do they have power taps right to them?
No, they do not. They have power taps near them.
How near?
So, like the one before or something. So that, there should be enough. But I'm turning the power down to 12 volts, so that may be affecting it.
Yes, that's true. 12 volts shouldn't be too low. Mine are all on dedicated 13.8, so, but I don't have as long a run as you do to gain speed into a lane changer. But the snappiness definitely is affected by voltage and amperage. So if you can do things to give them back a little bit more voltage or make sure that they have plenty of amps, then
Yeah.
they'll be snappier.
Yeah.
Dennis, just to give you an idea, on Ted Essie's home track, the track record used to be the PKCZ's car from the Czech Republic and the Proxy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to beat that time by over 1/10 with a hypercar.
Wow.
Yeah. They are
Yeah, 'cause
really good cars.
on the
So
electric
so
dreams
maybe
tracks,
I
I
should
can't get anywhere close to my GT3 times with the with a hypercar.
Wow.
I just maybe haven't tried hard enough yet.
On our Motown, they're about 2/10 faster than a GT3 car, but that's it's a really sticky track, so it's a different case scenario for a lot of things. But yeah,
what I found so far that the best hypercar I've got has some of the CG slot cars motor adapters and a 25K Piranha in it, so it's a small can motor. There we go. Yeah, I like that.
I think that would be
Courtney's
better.
got-
We're not allowed to do that. We have to run the
And
stock
that-
motor.
Sure.
Hold that up again, Courtney.
Oh, you don't even. You just got the front just the one adapter in there. Yeah.
Yeah, not bothering with the back end.
Well, and I have it glued in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But taking that weight out the back of the car to me has made more difference than anything else, I guess. However, I mean, I'm only
That's-
talking about stuff that I'm playing with, and I'm only a mid-pack racer anyway these days.
All right, anybody else got any show
You're
and tell?
number one in our heart, Dennis.
Thank you, Courtney.
Absolutely.
I got a little bit of show and tell, I guess.
Go for it.
I'm actually busy here with cars for the Canadian NSR Nationals that are coming up in September at
You're going?
in Edmonton. Yeah, I decided I'm going to go. So
Awesome.
I've got three NSR GT3 cars that I'm busy with, and 3 classic cars. And I'm going to take a Corvette and an Aston Martin and a BMW Z4 for the GT3s, and I'm going to take a P68 and a Lola and a 908 Porsche for the classic cars. And right now, what I'm doing while I'm sitting here is I'm replacing all the regular set screws in all the wheels, which are, the regular black 440 set screws that you get from NSR. Let me grab the right. The regular little black set screw from NSR with a different set screw. Let me see if I can do this somehow. There we go. So this one is the regular set screw, right? The one that's up in front of my nose. And this one, these are set screws that come from McMaster Car. And apart from the fact that they're only 5/64ths long, they're also completely hollow, so that the socket goes all the way through. So they're shorter and hollow, so they're lighter, and they fit into the gears and everything almost flush with the hub.
Yeah.
So actually, and of course, they are made from really good carbon steel. So the fit of the hex on the driver is really, really, really nice, and they work really well. I've got a link that I could share.
Yeah.
There we go. Try that one.
Have
Dennis,
you tried hollow screws before, Dennis?
I've used these for a while. I use them on all my 124 scale cars.
and you buy them in a batch of 50.
I buy them in batches of 50, yeah. So it costs me they're nearly $1 a piece with the shipping and the sales tax.
I can see that.
But they're definitely worth it, in my opinion.
And has the NSR grub screw got a flat tip, or has it got a cup-shaped tip?
It's cupped. It's a normal cup point.
You
And
see,
these of course are flat.
Yeah, that's the main change I make to an NSR grub screw. Although I will use the stock one, I will also shorten it from the cupped tip end
and grind
make
it
it flat
flat.
tipped at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Anyway, that's what I'm up to while this is going on, and so it's nice to be back. I won't be here for the whole thing. I need to leave at 12, but it's good to hear you guys.
I assume you know Ian and Todd are going.
I know that Ian and Todd are going. Yes.
What will the track be when you get there, Dennis?
Say again. What?
What's the nature of the track when you get there?
It's 113 feet of wood with one straight and many, many, many sweepers. If you go onto Facebook and you look for Slot Cars Edmonton or Slot Car Racing Edmonton, you can see some videos that show the track. It's they call it the Intimidator or something like that. It looks like a lot of fun to me.
Are you doing that right now, Greg?
Yeah.
I thought I could hear your keyboard. I'm doing the same, but yeah. I've got a feeling I've come across this track before.
Yeah, they've used it for proxies and things, I think, and
Yeah,
and a lot of the racers that are there have entered proxy, the GT3 proxy. So I think there's quite a few. No, that's not the one.
That's Rob's track.
That's
yeah.
a shorter track.
That was the first wood track I saw on their Facebook.
Yeah.
That's not that.
There's quite a lot there. It's difficult to pick out their track.
Nope, that's Rob's track. One?
That's not big enough.
No, that's not it.
That's a Colorado.
No. It's weird. I found it the other day. Hang on, I'd need to go to my.
Has it got NSR branded skirts around it and it got a grey top surface?
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. While it was still being built. The Dominator. That's what they call it.
If you look in the videos on Facebook, Greg, there's some footage of it in action.
Yeah, there's a video there of running a C8 Corvette around it.
And it's got a funny wiggle at the beginning of
there
the
you go.
That's
That's the track there.
Oh, that's a tiny little image. Let's find a bidder on there. Here we go. Nope. What in the world is wrong with his camera? That's not it. Anyways, there it is. It shows up better as a thumbnail than the actual video.
Yeah, that's the track. Yeah. So, yeah, it's got this pretty long straight, but the rest of it is all just wiggles. So that's going to be fun. That's the kind of track I like, so we'll see. And of course, there's a whole bunch of guys that we've probably all dealt with on some of the even here on the chat, I think, and then guys that have been in most of the proxies, and then of course my buddy Chris Struvic, who has been one of the leading lights of handling the
proxy rules,
GT3 proxy and the World Champs proxy, that so-called for slotted cars and so on. It should be a fun event.
And what names do they enter the proxies under, these guys that you're referring to? You might know.
Well, they do. F1 fan and
oh yeah,
and
CGY racer
and Heli_CA. Leon,
yeah.
He's the leading light up there, I think.
Okay, all of those, yeah, I'm familiar with as names. I didn't know, so that means it's not that far from Kelowna, where
it's a long way.
Oh, is it?
Kelowna, Kelowna's in British Columbia, Edmonton's in Alberta.
Okay.
It's
Dennis, good for you. You know Canadian geography. Awesome.
did. Yeah.
Not going, John?
Was that all right?
You're not going?
No. I spent a night there a week there one night, I should say, in Edmonton. It's an exciting town.
He's got a hockey game he's got to go to.
Yeah,
saying
actually,
it's-
yeah, I was going to say,
it's-
depending on when you're going, you might be able to catch a preseason game. If you can see the Edmonton Oilers play anybody, go see them.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm not going to be away long. I'm going to fly up there on the Thursday and back on the Monday.
Oh, okay. So you're not even going to have a chance to see the West Edmonton Mall?
I doubt it.
That's a sight to see.
Oh, okay.
All right, back on the topic of racing. Since apparently we're done with show and tell, we're going to do Club Corner. I've got a super quickie, so I'll just do mine real quick. Like I said, we started with the slotted classic DTM series, and Mr. Weber is already sharing his screen for some reason. Thank you, Mr. Weber. I guess go ahead and talk about whatever that's about. John? Mr. Weber?
It's K&S Metal Center.
I can't unmute you from here. You got to unmute yourself. You're still muted. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to there you go. What is this for? What?
Okay, I was looking for, I was trying to inventory my metals collection that I use for building chassis with. And so I thought I would just look up K&S, look up their website and get some kind of list off their website. And apparently this is a new product I didn't find they'd come out with. It's kind of interesting. Gio was talking about trying to get that foil look on his, basically it's a foil look on his hypercar or whatever.
Yeah.
And this stuff pops up. It looks kind of interesting, but it may be too thick. I don't know.
We might not be looking at the same page as you, John.
He's moving his mouse. We can't read what's on the screen, John.
Oh, you can't. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's tiny little letters.
Copper crafting foil, it says.
Aluminium crafting foil.
Yeah.
Aluminum even.
So
Ha.
anyway, it's 4/1000th of an inch thick. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's too thick for the kind of thing that the Geo was looking for,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to compare that to bare metal foil or something like that, then that's way thicker.
Oh, is it?
Anyway,
36 gauge means you can fit 36 of them in an inch. That would be pretty thick for a thin sheet of anything.
thousandths. Anyway, yeah. The thickness seems to vary by color. I don't have any idea why, but anyway, I just thought that might be something to interest Geo. Maybe not.
I'm sure he'll look into it.
Yeah.
if he hasn't
Okay.
already.
And for the Europeans, that's just over 1/10 of a millimeter.
So that's all I had. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Just couldn't hear you.
Okay. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
No problem. Let me just do mine real quick. As I was saying, we started our slotted classic DTM series, and for whatever reason, a lot of the guys gravitated toward a particular model. So this is one of the heats we had.
Oh,
Nice.
Not mine. It's actually two of each numbered car, so 2 16s and 2 17s. One of the guys literally took his car out of the box for the first time that night. forgot to put his wing on, so we just didn't bother making him put his wing on just to make it easier to identify his car out of the other ones. I think one of them, did a purple stripe, at the top of the windshield to help identify it. But otherwise, this is what we saw racing around.
How many choices of liveries are there with that class?
There's not a small amount as long as you want more than the opal, but everybody seems to gravitate towards the opal because it's long and wide and short.
I think there's 6 to 8 probably.
Yeah, sounds about something about half a dozen. Yeah.
So did
Is
it
that just the
happen?
most
Greg?
recent release?
I think that might be one of the more recent
The
releases.
yellow one's brand new, or the most recent, so they bought that one at the store. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
did
hate
it
when that
happen,
happens.
Greg?
What was that, Wayne?
Did the thing happen?
Oh no. Surprisingly, no. Everybody drove the correct car.
Yeah. What about the marshals?
It wasn't an IROC race. Well, since we race, crash, and burn, if the car came off, we just took it off the track.
Of course.
So it was not as difficult with the marshaling as it would have been otherwise. Definitely would have had to do lane stickers in that situation if we were putting cars right back on.
Yeah.
But
I noticed there weren't any, but then I realized why.
Yeah. Usually not needed. I did okay. Like we were talking about tires earlier, so there was that. And I was gonna say one of our fastest racers, Chris. He's the guy that was complaining the most about traction with the C1 tires, and he's a fast racer, but he kind of races all cars as if they can hang on in the turns like he used to do with the commercial racing with foamies and track glue and stuff. He can drive cars within the car's ability to drive, but he has a tendency to overdrive them, and so he gets frustrated when they don't have a lot of grip, and so he's always trying to find more grip. So he didn't have a good night, but it's basically every series, it starts off with him thinking his car is great or thinking he did a pretty good job with his car setup. And then the first night of racing, he just overdrives it and, keeps coming out and gets frustrated. And then the second night, it's a little better, but he's always complaining about his car. This car is a piece of crap or, whatever. I hate these tires or whatever. But then as the series progresses, he gets more and more used to it and, maybe tweaks and tunes things and but he's still a top racer. He's still, usually way up in the standings at the end of the night. And I just find that humorous that he gets so frustrated, but he's still a good racer. It's just like,
It's classic race car driver, isn't it? Never satisfied, even when they're winning, they still want more so they can extend their lead.
Yep. I did okay the other night. I think I got third place. Which isn't bad, but Chris wasn't on his A game. So, anywho, I'm done. Jim Rose, go for it.
Great. We had an event this last week, and I'm glad Dennis is here today because he may be one of the few people that knows these people. We did a reunion, and it was called it a reunion, but really it was an old timers reunion. It was put together by my friend Ken Jones here in the red. And it was we invited people that we'd raced with in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. So we're old. What can I say? We had one gentleman, Bill Martin, come in from Utah. Scott may be the youngest guy, and he's getting up there. Donnie and Mark were the hosts from Motown. So they weren't technically part of our group, but they were part of our group because they were the hosts. And Fred, Dennis, you may recognize a couple people here. Obviously, you recognize Herman.
Yeah.
Fred Hood.
Yes.
And some people, Carl Anderson, you may remember him. Larry races currently, but all of us, this group, raced with Ken and I in the 70s and the 80s. And so we figured we'd do it. And this was Ken's brainchild. It worked out awesome. We were there for 4 or 5 hours. He opened up the tracks for us so we could play on them. People brought out their old cars.
Cool.
And so we had a great time. I would highly recommend anybody out there in whatever region do this because this group will not be around 20 years from now. And so we had a great time reminiscing, telling everybody how fast we used to be.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing about it, what I just mentioned just a second ago, is that there are a number of people that would have been invited that just aren't around anymore. And so I just want to take a couple seconds to remember these people. I'm sure most of you don't know any of them, but if you're in the RC, you would remember some of these people. But anyway, it was a great event. We had a great time, and I would recommend you do this as you can, because like I said, the slot car community is not a young crowd for the most part, and this particular list keeps growing. But
Jim, if you have a chance, go back. There were some really cool slot car boxes there.
Oh yeah, everybody brought their boxes. I'm going to be full video on this later, so you'll see it. But yeah, everybody brought their old slot car boxes back when they used to race, and some of the cars and everything. Russ Toys, there's Russ Toys. So he currently races, but he raced back in the day too. This gentleman here, Chuck Gill, he is actually I'm not sure, world or international champion in wheelchair basketball. And I met him in '81. He was one of the first people I met when I started racing RC cars. I haven't seen the guy in 30 years. So it was just so fun to do this. And so the youngest person there is Ken's son. So, but he raced back in the day, not 40 years ago, because he wasn't around 40 years ago. But we just had a great time. I would highly recommend any club in the country do this.
Yeah,
that's really cool. But there were a couple of names on that list that I didn't even know had passed. So that's unfortunate.
Jay Kimbrough. Was he one?
Jay Kimbrough.
Kimbrough Racing, the son of Kimbrough from Kimbrough Racing Products in the RC world.
Yeah. Oh, it's the son.
Huh? And Frank Killam.
Frank Killam passed away about a year ago. Oh, Frank had a stroke about 5 years ago and was pretty much confined to a wheelchair, and he passed away, I think, last year.
Oh dear. Then a bunch of the others I knew about, Art Carbonell. Actually met Art. What a really, really nice guy. After he won the 1982 12 scale World Championships in RC.
I was there.
And in the parking lot of the Grand Hotel in Anaheim, right?
Yep. And then they took that, we were talking about that last night. They took that layout and moved it over to the Briggs Cunningham Museum and made a replica of it.
Oh, okay.
The track layout around.
Yeah, we invited him out, and he came out to South Africa the following year and raced a couple of our nationals. And in 12 scale and 8 scale, he brought his Delta 8 scale cars out with him as well. So what a nice guy.
Art was the factory driver for Delta for many, many years. So
yeah, and then he
and an awesome designer.
Yeah.
Did you personally race against Mike Reedy then, Jim?
Yes, actually I did. I'm sure I know he was at he was at all the races, but he raced a few times. So I'm sure I raced against him with
I actually got an official warning from Mike Reedy as the IFMAR referee at the 1/8 scale World Championships in '91 in Texas. The bugger. I will never forget it or forgive him for that. But I mean, it didn't make any damn difference. But Mike was an absolute stickler for the rules, and my pit mechanic put his foot onto the track surface, put his foot over the boards, the barrier boards, put his foot on the track, and then realized, I can't do that because I've got to leave the turn marshals to pick up the car because I tipped it over or something like that. And came off the heat, and then later on, official warning, for your mechanic having his foot on the track. You got one warning, 3 warnings, and you're out. Needless to say, we were very careful after that.
Yeah, there were 3 people that wanted to come, but just at the last minute couldn't make it. You may know Dennis, Jim Aguirre, Al Chuck, and Joel Johnson. They had all planned to come, but they couldn't make it.
Well, certainly I know Al. I don't know the others. I don't think I ever met Jim Aguirre, although I know the name. Anyway, yeah.
I met Joe Johnson.
I remember having a long discussion with Mike Reedy and Bob Novak of Novak Electronics at a Roar meeting one year when they came to us as the Roar Executive Committee to talk about brushless motors. And that would have been 2004 or so. And they basically came with a message that said, guys, electric RC racing is going to die if we don't start now thinking about rules and allowing brushless motors, because we are getting to the point where we have exceeded the capabilities of a brushed motor, and it's just costing everybody too much money.
Yeah.
So we got some rules in, and electric RC racing is strong now. So they had the right idea at the time.
Yeah.
Alrighty. That's an awesome reunion thing. Definitely a good idea.
Yeah, very nice.
Again. Mike, are you ready to talk about your racing?
Oh,
what about
yes.
our new guy?
Well, I'll give Hennis his introduction after Mike.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, I did another round of oxygen, and the first race was pretty good. We did GT3 cars for the first run, and there were a couple of missed laps and stuff. Not short laps. We didn't have any short laps, but some missed ones. May have been down to loosening of the hall sensor, because I did change one hall sensor to get it better. But the second race with the hypercars was a debacle. I don't know whether it's just because they're so fast, whatever. We had multiple problems with the RMS race management system. The cars would disappear, and we finally abandoned the race because the cars would disappear from the screen, and you'd have to turn your controller off and on to get them back. Finally, it happened to the Ghost car that I was running, and couldn't get it out of there. It just sort of locked up the race system, and was just really bad. I don't know what Geo does to make that thing work, but he does get it to work. Whether it's just B2 chips and using SCP2 controllers, I don't know. We were using all SCP3 controllers with the 16H firmware in it, which is the only one that works. So it was a frustrating night for me. I did get all the cars to work okay, and there didn't seem to be, like I said, any short laps as a problem there. But afterwards, after the racers were gone, I experimented a bit with PC Lap Counter, and I think what we'll do is we'll do the same cars next week with PC Lap Counter. Interestingly, one of the things you have to do with the race management system is calibrate, for me, how many laps you get with the fuel that you're allowed, and what the ratios are, how many segments that you count in order to make a liter of fuel and that stuff. Normally, the number that I plug into the with the SSD with Scale X for Export Digital is 1990, and that seems to and a 150 gallon or liter tank, and that seems to work pretty well for about 20 to 22 laps, depending upon who's driving and stuff. But in the oxygen setup, that gave me 2 laps. So I had to just keep increasing it until I used, I think it's 38,000 segments, if I remember correctly, to make 1 liter. And that brought me so I could get about 20 laps out of a fuel tank. So it was interesting that way. So we'll try it out next week. I'll put all the cars in there. Of course, there's, you have to redo all the cars and set them all up again so each one is equal. But as I said, a bit frustrating for me with all this time and effort I've had to put into oxygen and money for that matter. But I'm not quitting yet. Now that we've got SSD figured out, I have a fallback. All the cars, the oxygen cars are pluggable into an SSD chip if I have to. So there's a couple things that I don't like on the PC lap counter. Number one is the damage system. I really prefer the RCSO2 damage system where it will cut the power a little bit when you fall off until your damage is fixed. So it changes the racing a little bit. If you screw up, well, you're going to lose power. The only thing that PC lap counter has as a remedy for that is, number one, you can vary the length of time between the track call and when it goes off, or when the track call is called and when it actually goes off. So you can vary that time in seconds, however long you want. And the other thing they give you is a 10-second stop and go penalty. Well, 2 penalties like that throughout 125 lap race, and you're done, because that's 4 laps right there.
Yeah.
So it's too harsh a penalty, and it's not adjustable. I could see a stop and go or a drive-through for each one. That would be okay, but you have to, since oxygen limits the pit speed, that gives a definite loss there. Or even a 2-second stop and go would be okay, but 10 seconds is, that's close to a lap and a half, 2 laps, something like that by the time you're in and out. And that's a severe penalty for falling off. Yeah, it would help keep the drivers cognizant of staying on the track. Good luck with that. Racers are racers. I don't want to turn the guys off so they feel like they're losing too easy or anything like that. I have a home track advantage because I spend a lot of laps racing the track, and I still fall off enough. So, it's one of those things you have to sort of adjust a little bit, and it doesn't have any wiggle room. I'm thinking about messaging him and seeing if he can get some form of damage
flexibility
involved.
No, I wouldn't even waste your time on that. I used to think he was very responsive, but not anymore. I don't hold that belief.
Really?
If you have any luck, it would be asking that the stop and go penalty be adjustable for length of time, like being able to set it to however many seconds you want. I think that might be a reasonable ask. But he's not going to put damage stuff in there. No.
Well, and the other thing I could do is I could just extend the time when you fly off the track, and that could be sufficient. So if you lose 10 seconds from the time you fall off, that might be significant enough that, and right now I've got it at 5 seconds. So maybe I'll up it to 10 seconds and see what happens. The other thing is the fuel filling is activated the minute you hit the pits. You don't have to do anything for it. And that's actually probably a good idea for the racers that I've got. Well, Shiggy is okay, but Joel and Joe are constantly trying to figure out which buttons to press like that, because they've never had to do that stuff before, and they have a little bit of trouble with it. Also, a shout out to you for making the video with the SCP-3 on how to operate it. Shiggy read that, and it made a difference to him. So it was, in fact, he won the race, the one that we finished doing. Although I was right up there, I just made a couple of mistakes because I got behind once and started pressing too hard and lost it a couple times after that. So it's one of those things. You have to temper your red mist, so to speak, if you're going to take him in. And he didn't make any mistakes. He adjusted his controller enough that he could stay on, and it worked for him. So, like I said, a shout out to you for making that video, because it really helped, made a difference.
And what do you think he learned from it? What did he adjust?
The curve a bit
Yeah.
for the, especially for the GT3 cars. He was playing around with it during practice that we had after I showed him the video and he watched the video. So it was very useful to him for that.
Throttle curve.
There might be a contender for a new race management system if I think his name is Chris.
Chris.
Yeah, I've been watching that. I'm hoping he incorporates a lot of the RCSO2 stuff that I like. You know, weather is not as big a deal, but tires and fuel and operating them that way, and the methodology for activating the slowdown as a result of a full tank. I really, the PC lap counter version of that works pretty well. You can see a difference in doing that. And you know, if PC lap counter works okay, you know, I might go on and use it. It's now familiar to the guys, so they know pretty much what to look for and what's going on. So it's you know, something that transfers. And with that, I could do that. And since I've got segregated oxygen cars, I don't switch the cars too much. I wouldn't have to change the fuel parameters and stuff like that every time we race, which would be a total pain in the ass. Yeah. I haven't checked yet, and I don't know. I know we looked at that kind of to see if the basic parameters for the cars and stuff changed between oxygen and SSD. Yeah, I don't know whether the cars and everything changes when you switch to versions of detection, or whether it remains the same. I'll have to check and see that.
Yeah, I think it remains the same.
I had a basic question.
If you set up a car for SSD with its settings, and you set up a separate car for oxygen with its settings, when you switch to SSD for detection, your SSD cards will have whatever settings you had, and when you switch over to oxygen for lap detection, your oxygen cars will still have whatever they have. I'm pretty sure that's the case, right? That's what you want.
Right. If you dedicate a car to oxygen only, then you can maintain it, because you can put the parameters for fuel in and leave it. But if you try and take a car and switch it from oxygen to SSD or vice versa, then you have to change the fuel parameters for it. So anyway, that was my experience, unfortunate as it was, but well, there's always next week. And like I said, the worst comes to worst, at least I have regularity with the SSD now, that I can switch all the cars back to SSD and, you know, put the parameters in there that I had, and I'll be fine. So it's not perfect. It's not my favorite system. Hopefully Chris incorporates everything that I want in the new system. Of course, it'll mean I have to buy a version 4 dongle, which I haven't done yet. But oh well, small price to pay considering the rest of it. But
and that's assuming he doesn't make his work with version 3.
That's true. That's true. I don't know if he would bother.
No, I wouldn't do that, I'm sure.
You know, it's up to him.
I had a basic question regarding digital features and things like that. Do any of the endurance races incorporate any of those features besides just lane changing for digital? Strictly lane changes, or do you do pits and fuel and dams?
No,
they don't do virtual stuff. Yeah, it's all real life, because they're endurance events, right? So the actual wear and tear on the car matters.
Gotcha.
You're not having to do virtual things, so they generally don't do virtual things.
We experience actual tire wear and actual fatigue and actual wrist ache.
That's good.
Okay. And actual weather
I for one love the simulation for fuel. That's a no-brainer for me. I really love it. It makes it challenging, because you have to maintain different strategies for driving and react to the way the car changes as you're going along. It's artificial, I agree with that, but it's at least a simulation that I enjoy. I would love to incorporate tires. I don't think the guys are ready for that. And if oxygen doesn't work with tires, yeah, you know, it's okay. So
Yep.
anyway, that's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ennis, did you want to do an introduction?
Gonna need to unmute himself.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, guys.
Good evening. Thanks for coming. Tell us about your
Yeah.
slot car history.
Sorry, say again.
Tell us about your slot car history.
Yeah, well, my slot car history started in. Okay, my name is Hannes, and I hear you guys pronounce it correctly. Not many people get that right. I'm from South Africa. So it's about 9 o'clock in the evening at our place now. So in 1966, I was in Standard 6 at the time. I don't know what you guys would call it there. It's the first year in high school, so I won a Scalextric set. And if I remember correctly, there was a Ferrari and a Van Wall. Would you pronounce it like that?
Yeah.
Sort of a green car. I think it's something like that. That was in the set. And over the years, my brother and myself just carried on, played with it. We could get all sorts of stuff in the town where we stayed. It was not a problem at all. We eventually went on to Monogram. I had a Lotus, Jim Clark #1 Lotus. Ferrari 250 LM, that was also Monogram, and a Cox Cheetah and a Ferrari 250 GT. So that's what we raced with. And over the years, the set just grew bigger and bigger. And the guys and the kids in around us, we all just raced every weekend. It was 3-hour races or 9-hour races or whatever. We raced those cars to bits, really. Copying the Kyalami track we've got up in the Joburg area. So that's basically how everything started. I then went off to varsity, to the Air Force, and when I got married years later with our kids, I went and bought, well, that set just rusted all because we now live quite close to the coast. That's his Scalextric tracks just rusted up. I went and bought a Ninko set with Ninko cars, and when the kids left home, I sold all of that. And I had Ninko cars. I can't even remember. Well, I had many cars at the time, and we had a magnificent set. And Ninko was at that time, that was in the mid-90s, I think it was. Ninko was just about to bring out a digital set, and we were waiting for that, and we just couldn't get anything, and things started to fall apart in the slot car scene in South Africa. That was just my experience. And when they left, I just got rid of all the Ninko cars, that Lotus car, Ferrari, the Monogram, everything I had, I got rid of it. And last year, I think in the beginning of last year or the year before that, there was a whole article or television program on Hornby and Scalextric, how they build cars. And I just thought, okay, I must get this stuff again. I went and bought a digital Carrera set. And in the year over time, I've now got 22 cars. And I understand you guys will probably tell me, what the hell are you doing? Rather build your set out. Okay, so the set I have built out or extended, I've got a 7-meter straight. Guys, so next time around, I'll get some photographs because I'm refixing up the room and everything. So I'm really back into slot car racing now. I must admit that I'm still on magnets. I'm still a scared driver, if you could call it that. And I digitize all my cars. And to do all of that, we've got a shop in Pretoria, which is 6 hours drive from here. I've got a
Where are
shop
you
in
located?
Pinetown.
Are
Sorry?
you in Pinetown?
Sorry, I've got the shop in Pinetown. I go to
Where
what's
are
his
you
name there?
located?
Sorry?
Where are you located?
I'm located on the north coast, KZN, Natal. Dennis? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Pinetown is about 3 hours away. So, but
Uh-huh.
there you only get Carrera cars, and also your digital chips are also only Carrera. So most of the stuff that I want, I import. So I import all my digital chips from Slot Technique. And we've got a shop on the south coast, which is also about 3 hours from here. So I'm really in the middle of nowhere in terms
Yeah.
of getting information and getting stuff.
Where on the north coast?
Um, I don't know if you know Belito,
Yes.
Stanger.
Yes.
I'm just outside of Stanger,
Okay.
which is about 90 kilometers from Durban. I live on a farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, Dennis, you know South Africa. Are you from South Africa?
Ek is daar gebore, Pel.
Well, okay, well, dis goed om te hoor.
Ja, nee, jy het 'n regte halwe boertjie hierso.
Okay, well, that's good to know that. That's very good to know that.
Yeah,
Okay, so guys, so I've got cars now, Fly, Thunder Slot, Revo, Slotted, old Revel. What I did was I tried to buy cars again, which I had as a kid. So as far as a Fly, I've got Lola, 250. I've got three 250 LM Ferraris because I just love that car. I've digitized all of them. I've got Slotted, and the Revel is a Porsche 906, I think it is, yeah. And yeah, so that's where I am at the moment. So I'm building up my track. There's a couple of young guys in our area, in our farming community, and I'm slowly going to get them to join, and I want to try and get a club going. There's a club in Durban, but in South Africa we don't really travel at night anymore, and they've got their races. I think it's on a Thursday evening, in an industrial area just south of Durban. So that's a bit of a thing. So as far as background and slot car background is concerned, that's where I am at the moment. So I've been surfing the internet on slot cars like you cannot believe it. And I think it was yesterday or the day before I got onto this Zoom discussion point, and I thought I have to try it. And if you guys don't mind, I won't say much. I will just listen to what you're talking about, learn a bit of what's going on. And the next time round, I'll take some photographs and put it on the screen and see what you guys think about it. And the nice thing for me is really, sorry,
if you look at second-hand cars, Phil Smith in England, he does second-hand cars.
Sorry, say again, Tony.
Phil Smith.
In England.
Philip Smith.
If you're looking for second-hand cars.
Electric Fly, Minco, all old cars.
Yeah, no, I've bought three second-hand cars. One is a Ford GT Fly, and then two Porsche 911s. They're a little bit bashed up, but for the younger guys that doesn't know all about that, that's what we race, and we race them analog. So we just go flat out with that, and it's great fun. What I enjoy nowadays is to tune the cars. I see what you guys do on internet, and I tune them, do the tires, and it's just great fun. So I often race against myself with the ghost car. It's quite surprising how often a ghost car can beat you, but anyway. Okay, gentlemen, that's just the very basics of my slot car background. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Very similar
Yeah,
to a lot of us. Played with it as a kid, played with it a little as a bigger kid, played with it again as a
as an
an
older kid.
as a big kid, and I tell you what, it is unbelievably nice to do that. It's really, really fun. And the cars nowadays are just amazing.
Yeah.
You know what you get in terms of quality, uh, in terms of speed. The motors are absolutely beautiful. I remember in the old days, I just don't know. We actually tried to build a bronze chassis. We actually did that. At one stage, we had these thin, I think they call it Lexan plastic or something.
Yes.
We built those. We built chassis and we raced those things.
Where?
They weren't always good, but they
Where
worked.
did you race those?
No, we just raced it against ourselves
Oh, okay.
with
I was
friends
just wondering
with
whether you were
friends in
involved
our
with one of the
area. Yeah,
clubs.
yeah. There's a club in Durban. I
Yeah.
went there a few times when I had the Ninko set in the 90s. I went there a couple of times, but I mean those guys were just something unreal. They were so fast. I mean it.
Yeah, the Durban clubs have changed a little bit because that club that you would have gone to in the 90s was Curie Elite. They were in
Curie, yeah.
that hall next to the Moth Hall. But they
Correct.
lost that building. So the other raceway that's actually operating now is called CJ's.
Yes,
And
I've spoken to the guy there.
that's a plastic track. That's Carrera track. So it may be a little closer to what you're used to.
Yeah, okay. I didn't go there yet.
Yeah.
So, but I've
They're also
spoken to
down
the
there
guy at
in
CJ's.
that part of the town in the industrial area, but I'm not quite sure where. I haven't been there myself.
Yeah, yeah.
But the Akiri track I ran on many, many times.
Yeah, I've ran there a few times in the 90s and it was fun, but I mean those guys were just super fast. Okay, guys,
Okay, guys,
that's
sorry.
my slot car background, very, very short. So if there's any questions or otherwise, I'll just listen and learn at this stage.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask questions if you have any
Yeah,
questions
and
whatsoever.
if you need any other information on SA slot car racing, drop me a line or give me a call or whatever, and because I still have a lot of contacts there.
Okay, no, that's good. Thank you very much, Dennis.
No, you're welcome. I've got to go, guys, so I'll see you later.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dennis.
Floor's open, whatever, as long as it's slot car related, whatever you guys want to talk about or ask about.
Has Dennis actually gone? Because he might have answered the question I would pose.
Yep.
Yeah, he has gone, hasn't he? Yeah. Never
So what's the
mind.
question?
It's a very open one. What's your favorite? And I know a lot of you will not necessarily have an answer because you'll be running stock this and stock that. But what's your favorite? What's your favorite kind of spur gear?
Come on, Courtney. I know you got an answer.
Oh well.
Yeah, I've already voiced my opinion. I mean, everything I run in the proxies is almost always aluminum, slotted or NSR, just depending on what gives me the best mesh. And I like the aluminum just because I think it has less drag. I know sometimes weight can be a concern, but I do usually run because I like the 050 motors, and I also like the Piranha motor. They have the Neo magnet, so I usually run a titanium axle. And because I have to tune a car for everybody, sometimes I think a little slower acceleration is okay because it keeps the back end under the car. But it is everything is a balance, and I would have never used a plastic pinion. I would have never, but because of Wayne and Yona and Geo, I'm I'm running almost all plastic pinions right now. If they'll last for 24 hours with F1 Wayne at the wheel, they're going to last on a proxy.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, guys. If I can just butt in here, I've got the fly Ferraris that I've got is they were all stock standard. I've chipped them all, but I've put in the one Ferrari, I've changed everything to slotted pinion and and the big gear. What do you call it now again?
Spur gear.
Yeah, your spur gear, and I've got a bronze pinion, and the one Ferrari is still stock gears at the back, stock gears, axles, everything. And my son used to win me all the time. He'd always beat me, and I chose to take the slotted gear car, and he just couldn't get to me. So there's, as you said, Courtney, there's a lot of drag on, I think, on the plastic gears, and also with the slotted gears, the car is super quiet.
So the slotted gears you fitted, are they plastic ones or aluminium ones?
No, sorry, they're aluminium ones. Yeah,
They're aluminium ones.
yeah, sidewinder aluminium. Yeah, very quiet, and I just. We could see the difference. At one stage, he said to me, "There's something wrong with the car," and we swapped around, and same story. So it's the plastic gears. I think they on those two flies, the plastic gears noisy and call it draggy. I think I don't know what you can call it, but the slotted aluminium were just quiet and smooth and very fast.
It's probably not as much the material as the quality. Flies are not known for good quality pinions or crown gears or spur gears.
Well, yes. Yeah.
So that's the first thing. If you could have changed it to you could have changed it to something made out of pine
Yeah,
needles.
well, the thing is,
if it was made by NSR, it would have been better than the fly plastic gears.
yeah, well, the thing is, that's we can buy. We can buy fly cars. We can buy Carrera. Anything else you have to virtually import, and that's what I've done. I've imported Thunderslot, Revo, slotted car. Okay, you can get a slotted car, a hypercar, which I've actually bought here, which was great. And I also bought a Scale Auto, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just get the guy.
Jim, do you have any preferences on your crowns or spurs?
I kind of like the Slotting Plus.
I don't know if you guys can see it. I bought this car. Take the cover off.
Probably gonna have to turn your
Hold it in front of your body so that we can. It's in focus.
Okay, so there you guys, if you can see
to
it.
scale up. Yeah, the Porsche.
Yeah, it's a Porsche
963.
965. Yeah, it's an amazing car. I've
Yeah.
only driven it a few times on the track. I still got to tune it. But I mean, these things, if I want it, I've got to import it. Otherwise, you can't buy these things in
Hannes,
South
have you noticed that's got a plastic gear?
Yes, I know it's got a plastic gear. Yes, but it's not as fat as the fly plastic gear. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually
Well,
that's
it-
actually
it
got
runs-
the gears on that I choose to fit.
Sorry, say again.
That car's actually carrying the gears that I choose to fit.
Oh, okay. I must have a look at it because it runs beautifully. It's running without a magnet at the moment. I'm gonna try keep it like that.
Is that the
As I said
Scale
earlier on,
Auto
I'm still
plastic?
I'm still
Is
a
that the
little
Scale
bit
Auto
of a
plastic with the aluminum boss?
Yes, that's correct, Jeremy.
Okay,
No.
yeah, those are my favorite gears as well, just because you get the best of both worlds. You get the aluminum to hold it on, you get the quietness of the plastic, and then I usually go with a metal pinion, like a ergo pinion.
Okay.
And they
Do
come in
they-
weird sizes too.
Do they show any signs of wear, Jeremy?
Well, I'm not doing 24 events like you, but like
Yeah.
for the past year and a half, they've been fine.
Yeah, yeah. You
Just
see,
shows you
we
that
can run
they're
the
scary.
plastic pinions against that spur gear, and after 24 hours, there's barely any evidence of wear, barely any, and there's no lubrication. I've got gears. I think I've probably got gears now that have done multiple 24-hour races. I don't discriminate between them. They're either I've never lost one. I've never stripped one. I've never cracked one. Uh, and I don't differentiate between a new one or an old one. If I was to go to my box to pick out a 31 tooth, for example, it wouldn't matter whether it was new or old. I really rate the Scale Auto plastic spur gears, but there are lots of brands that I don't rate.
And
My
by the way,
experience with
Wayne, on your recommendation, I have the Scale Auto gears all the way from 30 to 36, and I have been testing them, and I do really like them. But I run them with a metal pinion. I don't usually run them plastic on plastic.
yeah.
You're running a plastic pinion gear, Wayne?
It's de rigueur in the Disca Digital 24,
I know.
Disca Digital categories where we have complete autonomy. We can fit whatever we like. You'll find all the front running teams, and it's been a long time since I saw a spur gear, a pinion that wasn't a plastic. In fact, of one specific or two brands, one of two brands, and if I'm not mistaken, they are the same thing from the same factory. One brand is Sigma and the other one is Scale Auto.
My question is, if you use plastic pinions are great in my opinion, but if you take them off, do you throw them away or do you try to refit them? Because I've found that sometimes they don't go on correctly if you try to refit a used one.
Because why?
Because the plastic deforms slightly.
And they don't run straight.
Correct.
Okay.
So personally, I would, if I take one off, they don't, the wear is fine, but if you take them off, I would throw them away and put a new one on because they're cheap enough too.
Well, the truth is, I buy them. There is a multi-pack where you buy one of everything and you begin with that, but then you buy multiples of each gear. And when I look in my boxes, I have a marking mechanism that I can identify a used one.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm running,
I would never use a plastic pin.
if I'm not setting up for a 24-hour, then I'll quite happily use a used one.
It's not that the pinion is used, is I don't think you can get them. I shouldn't say every time, but that when they deform when you put them on, or they wouldn't stay on. And if you try to,
they have to grip the shaft. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
They can't be a slip fit.
I don't think it's a good idea to reuse a plastic pinion.
And do you use plastic pinions, Jim?
Not very often, but we do on HO, and we definitely do that on HO. You just throw them away.
No, I would concur with HO. They're so small. Yes, I would concur.
Probably more critical on HO.
They probably are. Yeah.
Hey, Wayne, on a plastic pinion, what is the material?
It's nylon.
It's nylon.
It's nylon. But the truth of the matter is you can't know. But by the fact that they're white, one can safely, and everything I've ever read says that they're nylon, but I know there are different forms of nylon. I know of a nylon called, oh my word, I can't remember the name of it. It will
Zytel.
Darylyn?
Zytel.
No, I wrote it earlier. I literally wrote it earlier. Let me read it. My brother. Where is it written?
And the ones you like are Scale Auto, you said?
Yes.
Wayne? And let me ask you this: as far as the outside diameter of them, do they make them in diameters that match the slot-it diameters?
They make
Like
them in the correct diameter for the number of teeth, so they're pitch perfect. They're all different
Oh,
diameters.
They make 16.5, 17.5, and
No,
18.5
no, we weren't talking about spur gears,
for the
Jeremy. We're
spur.
talking about
Oh, okay.
pinions.
talking about pinions, yeah.
You're correct on the spur gears. They do fiddle with the teeth count. They do fiddle with the teeth profile to get multiple different tooth counts on the same diameter gear. They'll do that with the spurs. With the pinions, however, they make the pinions all different sizes. So you would not be able to replace them on a typical car and still have the mesh. You would find one that fitted and then the rest wouldn't. All my cars have the ability to adjust the mesh. You know, even if it's a slotted pod, I know that you use quite a number of slotted pods. If you look at the face of this pod where you put the screw through, you will see a round hole. If you then turn that face around and look at the back of it where the motor face is up against the side of the pod, you'll see an oval hole. And if you take a scalpel or a very careful with a Dremel bit or maybe even a drill, I don't really know, but you can slot the holes on a slotted motor pod so that you can move the mesh. You also need to take a little material out of the U-shaped piece that supports the front bearing carrier. So that little U needs a little scrape or a file or a touch with a Dremel. But you can slot the holes in a slotted motor pod, and it's done for you on one side of that wall, and on the front side it's not. But I use that. I mean, you don't really need to move a motor very much at all to get a large range of capability with regard to the diameter of gears you choose. I found that some of the slot it gears don't necessarily push because they're composite gears with an aluminium hub and a plastic gear ring. On the spline, I've seen a spline let go where the ring came off. I've also seen it where they don't quite get the hub in the center of the gear. And so when you rotate the back wheel, the gear is moving forward and backward ever so slightly, up and down. So I've seen them out of, so you get the mesh right at one place, turn it around, and it's loose on the other side. That's just a bad manufactured one. You just have to write that one off. Some of them are round, some of them are not. You just have to take the rough with the smooth. Well done. Who's put that up? That's really good.
Yeah, that's off the scale on a website.
That's right. So you see they're all different diameters. And the range that I operate in tend to be from like 12 to 15, 11 to 14 most of the time. I'm in that window range. I'm in that range. So it's the big ones.
Is that your pinions?
That's the pinions. Did you see the picture?
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, most of the time, most slot cars are in the 8, 9 area, 10 probably. I nearly never race a car on a track that's small. There's nothing special about the motors that I use. They're typical motors, but the gears that we run, because of the size of the circuits, are up there 12, 13, 14 teeth.
Question I want to ask, guys. I found a set of bushes, bronze bushes. They self-oil, I think it is, self-oiling, but their holes are sort of offset, and I just by the eye, there's not on the bearings, and I just the slot. What would be the reason for them being the holes being offset?
There's two reasons.
Very easy.
The primary
Yeah.
reason is to raise or lower the ride height.
Oh, well, that's exactly. So I've just fiddled around to get the ride height lower. In other words, the hole sits on the higher edge, on the higher side of your your motor mount,
Yeah.
if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, the secondary reason, which I don't think is a good reason, but you can also use it to adjust gear mesh.
Oh yeah, okay.
But the primary reason is
These,
the ride height.
yeah, okay. So I've put those. I'm slowly fixing up the fly cars, and I've put those in the fly cars. So you can't really
Yes.
fiddle with the mesh. The mesh is the mesh. That's it. I think it's 10 to 36 if I'm not mistaken, or 1136. I'm not 100% sure. No.
Well,
Yeah.
with your rev,
1136.
So those bushings would let you adjust the mesh.
if you use them with
Okay.
the whole front and the whole rear, then you would move the axle forward and towards and away from the motor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, good. But you
Yeah.
need that I don't know what you call it, that kickback or something, so that there's just a little bit of kickback in the gears.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Lash,
Yeah.
gear lash.
Yeah, so when
Lash.
you
The
rotate that
lash.
bushing, it's gonna raise the ride height and change the gear mesh at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
good.
no way around that. That's just the way they work. So you've got to use it however you want to use it.
You've got to use it very
Oh.
carefully and make sure that once it's fitted, it's fixed.
Yeah.
'Cause
Glue it.
if you think about it, if the hole's in the center and then you lower the hole, you're moving the spur gear further away from the pinion.
You
So
usually
if you put it straight down or straight up, you may have to angle it in just a little bit to get the gear mesh back.
Oh yeah, to get yes. Okay, good. I'll go and have a look at those cars that I've done and see how
They come in a couple different sizes too, and depending on the manufacturer. So there's two different sizes of offset. I forget what they are, 1/2 millimeter and 1/4 millimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh hell, I didn't even look at that. I just bought it, self-oiling bushes, and then I realized, okay, but now I'm learning something and I'm happy, so I'm going to see what the mesh is like. But so far they seem to be fine, and the cars aren't hobbling around. They're nice and smooth.
And obviously you have to get them even, and then you have to glue them in because they'll move. And one of the brands has a little indexing mark, little dot on it, so you can kind of eyeball it. And some of them don't, so you literally have to eyeball it to get it the same on the left and the right side.
Yeah, so what these bushes has got is a slight, very, very minute slit.
Yeah.
Oh,
on the
face.
On the
depends on the
face,
brand.
yes.
Yeah. Some of them have a
Yeah,
little.
You can use that like a clock hand.
It's exactly what I've done with them. Yeah. Okay, so they nicely aligned. I know that because I dropped the axle through and it worked well, so I'm happy with that. Okay, but I never thought that it could be a mesh thing, but I'll have a go and look at that, Jim. Thanks.
I think, and I may not be correct, that they were designed primarily for people that run silicone tires, which are virtually impossible to be able to lower the car with silicone tires. I think that's the reason for it, but I'm not positive on that.
I think the reason that they were manufactured is for people who have got basic slot cars that don't have variable offset motor pods, as in you can't retrofit a different pod. So we're talking Carrera, Scalextric, lots of the solid chassis brands, and you pop them in and you get your traction magnet closer to the rails.
Yes, yeah.
And I thought that was the primary purpose for making them.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're talking about.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Jim. I'm just
no. We're talking about the same thing because with rubber tires or foam tires, you can just true the tire to do that.
Yeah.
With silicones, you can't. So you need, by having that offset, you can do it with silicone tires much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What glue would you use to on those? Would it be just CA or what kind of glue would be
No,
preferred?
actually, CA for me, CA would be one I would avoid for that purpose. I would use a glue with some body to it, like a E6000 type glue, something that goes on like a gel, and I would let it sit around the periphery of the face of the bushing as well, and run some over the top where you've snapped it in. Run a bead from across the slot where you've snapped it in. And then be prepared for that to be something that you need to pluck out with the tip of a screwdriver before you can remove the bushes again.
Yeah, because if they come, if one of them comes loose during a race, you're done.
I like GS Hypo for that.
GS Hypo, yeah, that's a very similar. Yeah. They're handy, but I don't use a lot of them. I do own a pair. I've never actually used them because I don't run the kind of cars I race, that's all.
I use them in some of the Sidewinder cars because the Sidewinder cars have a bigger spur gear that sticks below the chassis.
Yeah.
So I would run them in some Sidewinder cars to raise the axle so the spur gear no longer is below the chassis, which ultimately allows me to lower the car with it and still attack. So lots of reasons.
Yeah, very useful bits of kit. And available from most of the major manufacturers, I think. In fact, NSR, if I'm not mistaken, NSR make them at 0.2 millimeter increments, which means that you can basically change the height of the car by 0.1 millimeters. Because, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, every step is a 0.2 millimeter step, and that lowers the car 0.2 millimeters. They don't make different offset motor pods. They only make the one offset, which is it's not an unknown value. I think it's about 0.75 millimeters, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they only make one motor pod. And so you're meant to change the height of your car with their bushes. I don't like that.
Well, that's why you run your pods.
Yeah, I thought they were designed for rules when you have to have a specific tire size and there's no ride height. So they have a 0.6 offset. I've used that several times. And I use CA, I've used E6000, Shugu. I put it in. Epoxy, I used to do a lot of epoxy. Again, read the rules, and then you take them right to the edge and then one step over. I call that the Rose effect.
Hannah writes his own rules.
Okay, guys, we don't.
Rules, you know where the gray areas are.
Exactly.
Floor's open. Were you going to say something, Hennis?
Yeah, no, I was just listening to you guys talking about glue and things like that. I've got a glue here that's it's like a shoe glue that I've glued those bushes in, and they seem to be fine. And the one car I used super glue or CA, but I mean after a while that stuff gets brittle and it might just give me trouble. So I'll keep an eye on that. But we don't. I've seen on the internet we don't in our country we don't get all those fancy type of glues. The other thing is possibly to use epoxy. We get very good epoxies here. But at this stage, I've the one is put in. I've used shoe glue, and the other one was CA.
Yeah.
I don't know what Courtney's experience with the epoxy was, but I'm very nervous of epoxy. I always feel as though it's really quite permanent. I'm very nervous about getting it out again.
You see, that is a problem with epoxy. If it's in, it's in, and you're going to break stuff, and that's not good.
And I would avoid that, for that reason.
There's nothing wrong with Shugu. The downside to Shugu is because it's so thick, it's a little bit more difficult to apply in tight spaces like that. And that's where E6000 and GS Hypo come into play. The end result is basically the same. It's a very flexible, very well stuck on adhesive, but it's how easy it is to apply to things like that E6000 and GS Hypo work real well. But if you can do it with Shugu, no reason to change.
Well, I've tried it, and so far it's fine. E6000, what sort of,
That's it right there.
okay, hold on,
It's,
just hold it. I'm gonna,
it's a
I'm
little
gonna
bit
take a
thinner than
photograph. So if I, okay, got it, thanks. I'm going to see if I can find something similar to that. How does it compare
AliExpress.
to CA or, sorry?
AliExpress. AliExpress website.
AliExpress, okay, I'll get it there.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to find my GS Hypo, and I don't seem to be able to put my fingers on it right now.
I'm sure chemically they're very similar,
Oh,
but
yeah.
have their differences. It's just thinner, right? So it doesn't, it's not such a blob to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that E6000's handy. It has got a pin tube applicator, as in there's a metallic tube in the end of the tube, and when you put the lid on, you're putting a pin inside that tube. Okay.
Yeah,
And
I use,
this one's called GS Hypo cement.
let me do that as well. I must look out for these. Just hold on a second. Sorry, guys, I'm,
That's
okay,
okay.
got
That's
it.
No problem. It's what we're here for.
Yeah, I'll go find that stuff, yeah.
And this is the same.
I use it. I
This
use toothpicks to apply glue in those fine little places.
So if I show you the different if I show you the different pack sizes, even though they look the
Yeah.
same on the screen, you can see that the GS Hypo pack is a much, much smaller one. And it
Yes.
also has a metallic tube, and the pin in there is hair thin. It's really, really small. It's actually difficult to put back in. But the application, the ability to apply this stuff is phenomenal. It's way
Okay.
smaller than a toothpick, or even
Is
the
the-
pin.
Toothpick, you get a little bit blob on it all the time.
I haven't tried E6000 yet. I've only tried Shugu and GS Hypo. One of the things I like about GS Hypo is that it's thin enough for capillary action.
Yeah,
to
it
bring
flows.
Okay, so it can move
Does
in.
E6000 do that too?
E6000 a little less so, but yeah, it still smooths itself when you've laid it down.
A lot less, Greg.
Yeah, I figured.
Yes.
So basically,
The sur-
E6000
the-
is like
yeah.
between
The surface
GS
will
Hypo.
level out, but it does not have very good capillary action at all.
Yeah.
So I would not, if you're setting in a double flange bushing or something, I would pull the bushing out and then put some E6000 on the bottom of the bushing carrier.
Yeah.
And then put the bushing back in. Don't rely on the E6000 to find its way around from the top of the bushing to the bottom. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. GS Hypo will do that, so that's one of the things I like about it.
Yeah, and if you've got a tube of Shugu that is still in good shape, there's no don't, when it's gone, by all means try some E6000, but don't think, oh, I'm going to spend $10 and this is going to be a miracle stuff for me. It's largely the same stuff.
Yeah.
Has anyone any objection to posing the same question that I posed earlier, but to Chris?
Now that
Now
Chris
he's
is here, I was actually going to suggest that.
Go for it then, Greg.
Did he hear the question? Well, you asked the question.
I did. I don't think Chris would have been in the chat at the time. I didn't notice.
No, I just popped in, so I was
ask
in the
your question
back.
again,
I was
please.
in the response part of that.
Okay. So the question was, what's your favorite kind of gears?
Kind of what?
Plastic.
Gears. Either pinion or we discussed both pinions and spur gears, but primarily I was interested in spur gears.
Right. Do you,
what material?
Do you have a specific diameter in mind, or what do you
No,
think?
it's unimportant really for me.
Okay, so probably the most accurate gears on the market right now are the MR slot car spur gears.
Yeah.
And the reason that is they're produced by a guy named Phil Hackett from Sonic, who has produced high-end drag slot car gears and commercial track gears for 40 years.
Yeah.
Or you can buy the Chinese stuff.
Oh, I don't
And
know.
and for the motors and the kind of racing that most guys are doing, a gear from NSR or Scale Auto or Slot It or Pinions are all basically the same, and you're not going to get a huge amount of difference. The Sonics are more accurate, there's no question, but you're really not going to feel it. I spend more time in trying to come up with gear combinations that allow me to run the smallest spur gear that I can. That allows me to run smaller diameter rear tires and still have a fair amount of track clearance if I need it.
Yes.
So, especially if you've got a long proxy and you don't know how much your tires are going to wear, that is a valuable consideration. Plus rough and tumble, if your spur gear does not protrude below the bottom of the chassis plate, it will be less likely to get a nick in terms of an off or a crash or something like that.
So if I were allowed to respond, I kind of knew what you might say. I kind of expected that you would recommend what you have done. But are you therefore saying in the same breath that all the other gears are basically Chinesium and much of a muchness, or is there still a preference?
They're well, two sort of commonly used gears: metal gears versus plastic gears. Most of the gear manufacturers that are made in China are making gears pretty much for everybody.
Okay.
I tend to prefer metal gears. They cut when they're produced on the machines. They cut better. They're more accurate. Blah blah blah. Having said that, all the differences can be seen in a laboratory under a mic, like minor stuff. So yes, there is, I always use steel pinions as opposed to brass pinions. Steel has a lower coefficient of drag than does brass. But it's minor, and if you've got a car that's winning your race right now with a brass pinion and you put a steel pinion in it, it's still the same car. It's all very, very tiny amounts.
No, I don't recall, Chris, MR slot cars gears that you're mentioning. Are those brass gears?
Well, all the pinions are either brass or steel.
Okay.
And the crowns are obviously bronze and plastic. There's only one inline crown, which is a 27 tooth. And the spur gears come in an ergal, which is the same basic. It's an aluminum gear, and they also make those in a plastic gear.
So they make a plastic sidewinder gear, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah.
Can I ask you to comment specifically on the Scale Auto side spur gears?
Yeah, they're all. If you're currently running a slotted pinion or an NSR pinion or a Scale Auto pinion or a Playfit pinion or spur gear, and you switch to another brand, nothing's gonna happen. They're so close, it's ridiculous. Now, if you start playing silly bugger with tooth count versus diameter, now all of a sudden you can get into some situations where the pitch has changed so much that they just don't mesh well. But if you had and I know they don't all come in the same sizes, but if you had like an 18 mil spur that was a 34 tooth, and you went from a Scale Auto to this to this to this, makes no difference. They're all 0.5 module.
Yeah.
And again, makes no difference. If you tested these in a lab with like $100,000 of worth of equipment, you might see a difference. But translated when you put it on the track with 20,000 RPM motors and stuff, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you know, don't support the hobby. Go out and spend $10 on a new spur gear that's identical to the one you already have. It's just a different manufacturer and knock yourself out. But it's not gonna.
Well, I mean, I've got a range of different diameters and different manufacturers' spur gears, and there are some brands I can get along with, and there are some brands that I avoid.
Yeah.
And I quite like the scale autos. I've got an MR, but I haven't had an occasion to use it.
Right.
I bought it for a very specific purpose, and it was one of the very, very smaller diameter ones, and I can't remember why I needed it. And in the end, I didn't need it. Something
Well,
happened, and I
I
didn't
use
need it.
those. Yeah, I swap out all my NSR spurs and replace. So I will increase the size, increase the diameter of the pinion, and decrease the size of the spur on all my NSR cars. It gives me a little more ground clearance and all the rest of the stuff, so I can run.
Yeah. Well,
closely.
the pinions I like to use all have different diameters. They're all what you might call pitch perfect. Is that the right phrase? I believe it is.
Well, if they're all 0.5 module, they're not they're not pitch perfect.
No. All right. Because there's so few teeth on them.
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can have I've got plenty of pitch perfect 6-tooth pinions.
Okay.
But they're very, very small diameter. So
would I get steel pinions up in the 12, 13, 14 tooth range?
Sure you would.
Oh, okay. Can you tell us who makes those? I don't think I know.
I think Ernie's got a few. And you're all MB slot. Pendle used to sell MB slot, and I loved MB slot pinions. You can hunt around for them. I've got tons and tons of them.
Everywhere I find steel pinions of reputable manufacturer. Let's put it this way: I've looked into this steel chassis market, and of course I find the 48 DP and I find the 64 DP, and then there's not a lot of 0.5 module there. But where I do find the 0.5 module pinions, I find them in 8, 9, 10 teeth, and it stops. So I'm going to have to do a little more research to find the bigger tooth count ones.
Yeah, I mean, most of the commercial track guys use steel pinions, and the motors that they all use are high RPM motors, like 150,000 and up, where everybody's running 4+ to 1 numeric gear ratios. So 8 and 9 tooth pinions, even 7-tooth pinions are 5-tooth pinions are fairly common.
Yeah, that's the end of the scale that I can find plenty of, but nothing.
Yeah, if you do find the steel again, there are advantages to steel pinions. The teeth cut cleaner, steel cuts cleaner on the cutting machine than brass does.
Yes.
It is harder, so the bore is generally straighter and truer. So when you push the pinion on, it tends not to walk as much per se as a brass one would. It's got a lower coefficient of friction.
Durability would be great because personally, durability matters a lot to me, and I hate brass for that reason.
Yeah.
I avoid brass. I should say hate. I avoid. There are times when I'll use a brass pinion. I've got plenty, but at the moment, I've been using what you might call a Sigma or a scale auto nylon gear.
Oh, they're pinion wise.
That's for pinion, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I personally don't like those. Plastic is so bloody soft that when you're pushing it on, it can distort when it goes onto the motor and end up with some run out on it.
Jim and I had just discussed that in this chat tonight, that particularly if you try to use them for a second time.
I don't use steel pinions a second. Like I have no concept of what that even is.
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna return the chat to the rest of the group now. Thanks for your input, though, mate.
Yeah. And again, last bit of info in all of these things that we're talking about slot car wise. The actual piece and part is less important than what you do with the piece or the part. So, you know, and as evidenced when you see proxy races for stock slotted cars with a tire change, right?
Yeah.
You look at the times, some guys are like 3 seconds, and the cars are a couple of seconds quicker, the top cars than the bottom cars. All the same pieces, it's what you do with the pieces.
Yeah. Thank you.
At the slotted nationals a couple of weeks ago, we had 70 guys, which were wide disparity in lap times, and all the pieces were the same.
Right. It's like any form of racing. You know, I'm not a big NASCAR fan, but basically every NASCAR car on the grid is the same thing. There you go.
This is what Courtney put a link in the chat. What were you going to say, Courtney?
No, I was going to tell Wayne, Scale Auto has steel pinions. I got to take that. Sorry. Scale Auto has steel pinions like the 15.
Yeah. That sonic pinion that Courtney put up there, that's made by a guy named Phil Hackett in California. And the way he cuts and puts together pinions, that is a pro level. You can't get a better pinion than that.
A superior product.
Yes. Now, that may very well be a solder-on pinion, though.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, that's not a big issue if for the feeble little motors that we were all running around with, you can put that pinion on with a bit of red Loctite. It'll work just fine.
And Courtney put up 3 links here. I got the other ones up too here. So he put up the Sonic.
Those are great. Those are great.
Scale Auto and the MB slot. These are all on Professor Motor.
Yeah, so those are all 7.5 mil pinions. Perfect. And those are great pinions.
Is there a significant difference between run-in on these gear sets between the various types of pinions and axle mount gears?
Good pinions. So sonic pinions, some exotic pinion, not exotic, but ARP pinions, sonic pinions, some of the JK pinions are so well cut initially, they're only going to get worse when you run. Like they're precision when they're done, right? So most guys won't set up the mesh properly, and they'll bugger them up as soon as they spin them on the motor. So as opposed to some of the cheaper, less expensive pinions that are not cut as precisely. So then, yes, they may benefit from running in a little bit.
Or the plastic ones, I guess.
The other thing too is that,
but the ARP pinions, the sonic pin, it's like Swiss watch pieces. Like they're only going to deteriorate from like they're like jewelry when you get them.
the other thing I've seen people do, especially in HO, is they get a good quality pinion and they press it on with vice grips. And you need a proper press that's aligned to keep the pinion straight as it's pressed on the shaft.
This goes back to the point, the pieces are less important than what you do with the pieces.
Exactly. Yeah.
On the HO cars, we have a dedicated press for the pinion, and you typically put a little bevel's the wrong word, I can't think of the word, on the edge, so the edge is not sharp, so it will go in it. You oil that, you press it on slightly, you rotate it 90 degrees, you press it on slightly more, and so putting a pinion on an HO car is almost it's a process in itself, and if you don't get it on straight, the car will never work.
Right.
So exactly what
Gentlemen,
Chris said, it's how you use the parts.
gentlemen, I have to go now, and thanks for the evening. This was rather very interesting. So I'll join you guys again next Wednesday. All the best.
All right.
Good to meet
Have
you,
a-
Hannes.
Okay.
Pleasure. Go well, guys.
Few minutes left. You guys still want to talk about pinions and spur gears and crown gears and stuff? I don't care. Hey,
Sounds good.
Gio's on. Hey,
Well,
Gio.
it is amazing too when you get the pinion and the gear mesh and everything on properly that the car handles better. A lot of people don't realize how much poor gear mesh affects the handling of the car.
Yeah. Especially HO cars.
Especially in HO, yeah. The tolerances are so tight. They're so much smaller.
So did Wayne drop the bomb?
I don't know. What was the bomb? He asked about gears. He didn't really, I
Yeah.
don't think he dropped any bombs.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. That was the question.
That was
right?
the bomb.
Yeah, you can talk for forever about that.
We've been talking for about the last half hour about it.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah, it's
Well,
good
I guess we're
info.
done with that. Yeah. Plenty of information for sure. The comment I made on the YouTubes, they're chatting about various things. I just said it's a diminishing returns kind of thing, right? And I'm not that much into it. As long as when I get a car, as long as the pinion isn't broken, and as long as it goes, as long as it's not absolute garbage, I'm fine. I don't need to replace anything. The only time I'm replacing stuff is when it's worn or cracked or broken or broken, just bad, right? Then I'll replace it. That's pretty much.
So when I go racing like in these in Europe, right? In these large events, I'm amazed about the amount of noise that comes from the car. Normally my cars are very quiet. I mean, with one that I run here, I cannot even hear sometimes compared to others.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. The standard maybe is a bit different depending where you run. By all means, it's not like they are crappy cars, but still, the noise is like cringing for me.
I love a quiet car, that's for sure. And if there's something I can do to quiet a loud car, then I'll do it. But usually not to the extent of replacing the gears. If I can adjust the mesh, or I can run it in for a little while, or with the Revo slot cars, just gluing in the Lexan interior, does a pretty big deal. But yeah, everybody loves a quiet car. You're like, is that car even going?
Yep. But you're right, Greg. It is all diminishing returns and what you want to do with it. I just came back from the shop and there was a bunch of guys in there today going, okay, we need new tires for our cars. And I said, okay, let me see your cars. And they all brought their cars up and they've got like 17 magnets on the cars. So I said, okay, that's fine. I get it. I can sell you new tires, but with that amount of magnets on your cars, I could sell you plywood tires, and it's not going to make any difference. So just keep like, why do you, well, it's going to give us, no, it's not going to give you more grip. Save your money, have fun, blast around and save your money, because in about 20 minutes, you're going to be asking me for a new body for your car because you got bits all over the track. So just motor. have fun. You don't have to, so many guys I get emails from, and, I just bought a little Polycar figure 8 set. Do I need to? No, you don't need to do any of that shit. Just have fun. Well,
You're such a bad businessman, Chris.
Yeah.
You should set tires, bodies, wings.
You could make
tens of dollars. That's like HO cars.
And not everybody wants to
run the HO car.
Not everybody wants to compete at the highest level and do what it takes and spend what it takes.
Yeah, in HO, you lower the car till the motor burns up, then you put a new motor in it and raise it 2,000.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna end the live stream, so everybody wave bye till next week. Bye, clicking end, giving it 10 or 15 seconds because it takes a long time.